Yeah, I was finally able to make some changes to a few of the tanks that are in the extra super duper fish room. It's actually the computer room, and I put a bunch of tanks in there for some excess fish that I want to keep my eyes a little more focused on. And these are some of the extras of the Snow White Albinos males. And what I finally did was I added some, they're in there somewhere. There we go, some yellow Delta females. So I put a few of them in, and they're very young, so I have to keep my eye on whether or not one or two of them could actually even be a male. So anyway, I finally got the cross set up for something I've wanted to do since I got the Snow White Albinos, which is a cross to the yellow Deltas. So I have another tank I'm going to set up that'll be the yellow Delta males to the Snow White Albino females, and that'll be probably a separate video coming up. But these are young fish. They may already be hit. It's possible, but it's going to be difficult to tell because the first batch is going to be black-eyed fish anyway, because when you cross an albino fish to a black-eyed fish, you always get black-eyed fish in the first go-round. Then when you go back to the parent or brother to sister, you should start getting some albinos. So it's a work in progress. And the other things I did is I got the yellow Deltas more or less specialized into the one room. I fed them some live baby brine shrimp. That's what they're going after. This is an extra grow out tank of a bunch of them. So what I'll do in the future is pull from this tank some males or females for some of the other tanks that I have going. I have a couple more tanks in the fish room of breeder tanks of the yellow Deltas, and that's something I'm always adding, some nicer looking males, like this one may go in, and some nicer females. I try to pick the females with the better yellow coloration. This is a nice male too, so he may end up going down into that tank as well. This is a grow out tank of the yellow Deltas. There's some fry in there as well, and a couple of older ones, because I picked some nicer looking males and females that I'm going to want to have hit the younger ones once they mature. I changed out the filters, and I put in the round filters I got from Angels Plus. I also moved the filters to the back of the tank and used red airline tubing on this one. This one I think's got green, and the other tank has blue. That way it'll be easier for me to figure out which one's clogged up, because that does happen with sponge filters now and then. These are nice because these have a round slate bottom, which keeps them on the bottom of the tank instead of floating up, which a lot of brand new sponge filters, when you put them in, they tend to float to the top and become a pain in the neck to get them down. So these are mostly young ones. Well, they're all young ones, but there's a few a little bit older in there. And I do that because sometimes with the yellow Deltas, since yellow is a pretty tough color, and the males especially will have like not see-through tails, but thinner tails. I guess the coloration's not as intense, although mine, the ones I use for breeders, really do get nice intense color. Trying to find one in the other tank that the middle of the tail edge isn't completely filled out, because that happens with these as well. So I think one of these has that somewhere. Well, I saw it for a brief second. Alright, I don't know where they are. But trust me, it happens. Yep, not getting it. Alright. And the next tank is also, I adjust things here. Tank of breeders of the yellow deltas. I selected the males that have the more intense yellow coloration because that's what I'm trying to improve on these. I did pick one that has like the tail edge is a little bit nipped on this one, but that's not a problem because that was bitten. It didn't grow that way. Same with this one's got a little bit of a nick in the edge of the tail. I tried to pick females that had a nice bright yellow coloration. I think it may help carry forward to the males. And same thing with this one. This is a round sponge filter I got from Angels Plus. They do come with the lift tube, and I used the red airline on this one. The plants in this tank are a thin leaf water sprite. The plants in this tank are a regular wider leaf water sprite. See if I can get a little closer there. And this is a thinner leaf water sprite as well in this one. So that's what's kind of happening up here. I have a couple of more tanks downstairs of these yellow deltas, and I will add them to this video to complete it, and I'll try to have the whole video just on the yellow delta strain. So this one's probably the nicest looking one in the tank. Well, there's a couple of pretty nice ones. So anyway, thanks for hanging in, and I'll add the rest to this and finish it up. Alright, I will finish up the video on the yellow delta strain. Now these guys with some other females were all in a 10-gallon tank. Is one of the breeder tanks downstairs. I have two of them. One of them is mostly females with a couple males in it, and the other one was the opposite. So there's no real way to film them in a 10-gallon tank because I got to keep them concentrated in the field of view basically. So I put them in the 2.5-gallon tank for now. Gave them some plants so they're happy, and I'll try to go over a few of the other things about the yellow delta line, which yellow deltas, you don't see them as often in the hobby, and that's because, as I think I said earlier, they're a difficult line. They require a lot of work to get just this far. And there are yellow micariff guppies, which are a different type of yellow guppy. They have a very short tail and a short dorsal, a little bit more possibly of a yellowish white color. But I'm keeping the yellow deltas because I want to enter them in the yellow delta class in the IFGA, and you can't do that with the micariffs. They're not going to ever really do anything. Their tails are too small, dorsal's too small. They're just not that good. You probably can cross them with fish like this to improve them, but I'm already past that, so I'm not doing that. Boy, I really digressed on that one. So anyway, there's a few varying shape and size males in this tank, and I did that for a reason. I'm trying to show, one, what I'm after, and two, that I have to use various males to get the improvements I want. Now this male here has the exact color I want. I want that yellow, and by this male I mean that one right there with the little red spot on his stomach. I think he ate something and gave him a red spot. Nah, it just happens. But the problem with this and with yellow deltas is you can see if he opens up his tail a bit, the edge is pretty crappy. It's not straight, which is what I want. I want it to be straight. And the dorsal is not as long as it should be, and there's like a few spots, not really spots, but a few rays of it where there's no yellow color. Just like in the middle of the tail, there's a couple of, they're not spots, they're just parts of the tail where there's no yellow. So moving on a bit to this one. I like this one a lot. There aren't too many problems, except the yellow doesn't go, well, it kind of goes into the base of the tail, but I see a little bit of black, but it might just be no yellow, and it's just the body or the caudal peduncle. This one is the one I think I already showed. This one's pretty nice. So what I have to do is I have to keep picking different males for different characteristics I'm after. So because I want nicer dorsal, nicer tail, and a better yellow coloration. And to do that, I'm not getting it out of one male, so I'm using more than one. So I picked a younger one in there somewhere because I wanted to show how the tail kind of grows. And I don't know where he's hiding. I think he's back here, but it's going to make it tougher to show. Where's this knucklehead at? There we go. It's got a couple red spots on the body, and you can see the platinum gene. You can't really see the gene, but you can see it's got platinum. The tail, which of course is obscured by the plant, because the fish knows I'm trying to film him, has a part of which in the middle, that the middle at the end of the tail, that's got like a notch. It's not really a notch. The tail grows like that. It grows in a little bit at the top and the bottom, and then the center fills out, and it does that each time it grows. So really don't know where he went, which is making this a little difficult. I think he's over on this side, right there. Ah, jeez, he ain't staying still. But that was him right behind the other ones. So that's what happens next, is the tail grows a little bit longer, top and the bottom, and then the center fills out some more. And that's why some of these don't have a great caudal edge. They weren't bitten, it's just how it grows. And the other thing I have to improve on these is body size. So they're the things I'm working on with these. And I said in an earlier part of the video, I try to pick the more buttery yellow females, because I think the color might actually be on the females as well. So anyway, that's these guys. I think they're beautiful. I love the yellow deltas, and keep working on them, and I keep them going as much as I can, because it's an unusual fish, and it does require a lot of work to cull the ones that aren't so good and keep selecting the ones that aren't really messed up, which is probably an easier way to say that with less words, but what do I know. So anyway, other than that, we have somebody else in the fish room. It is let's see where he is. It's Noob. Look at that. How cool is that? Noob. He's a little too close to him. I can't get him fully in the picture. Anyway, he monitors the yellow deltas, and he's got some cool red underwear and a pink underwear and a purplish cape, because he's Noob. Alright, I wasted enough of your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll try to do a few videos on various strains and the observations and what I'm looking for with the ones I'm doing, and then I'll get back to doing some weird videos, you know, on other stuff, feeding, different kinds of food, stuff like that. Alright, thanks for watching.